What's up, guys? Welcome into another live session here with 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and DK in the background running the show. Pardon the dim lighting tonight. I've had my freaking light on all day, Glenn, and my eyes are hurting.
You done with it?
I'm done. So I'm going with the mood setting.
It's a romantic setting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm done with it. My eyes are bothering me. My head is hurting. So I'm like, you know what? I'm putting the lens on tonight, and I'm rocking the low light tonight.
All right. I hear that. I did have to switch this back because I know if I would have left me on one side, then we would have gotten yelled at for sure. Shout out to Lisa Ann. Yes, of course, Lisa Ann. We would love to have John Harbaugh on the show. I'm not so sure he would return our calls. But, that would be awesome. Maybe we got to see if Sarah can, because Sarah's had him on her personal podcast.
That's true.
Maybe we got to see if we can work some connections there. But, yeah, that would be awesome to have Coach on. Not holding my breath for that one.
We're not holding our breath. And honestly, Lisa, I wouldn't hold my breath either if I were you. But once we get that media passes, don't you worry.
That's right. I'll be schmoozing them up in the locker room.
That's right. You just keep rocking with us. And every year you'll see us doing more and more. We're excited for it for sure. But that's a great point, Glenn. I don't know if I have enough money to get John Harbaugh on the show at this point in my life. So, but anyway, glad you guys hopped on tonight. I think it's going to be a fun show. As always, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in. If you want a guaranteed response, of course, you can always do the super chat, but not required by any means. However, tonight we're going to get into some over-unders for our Ravens players, both offensive and defensive, really based on last year. And then, I think some of these people will give overs, and then either Glenn or myself or both of us will maybe give a ballpark, but we want you guys to chime in too as we're talking about these people. Jimmy Kidwell, sup? I've never been able to say that and sound cool. So
what's up? Yeah, me neither. I'm not that cool.
I just don't look cool when I say it, right? But I'm
you know what else I'm not cool enough? Babe. I'm not cool enough to call my wife babe. I don't do babe. I feel like you have to have a certain level of coolness to do babe.
That's funny because I do that.
You do babe? Well, you're cooler than me, Jimbo. I mean,
I don't know about all that, Glenn. I don't know.
Let's call it what it is. Lisa Ann, we're not going to forget. We're not going to forget, but actually we might. So please remind us. We will love to give you a shout out. What's going on, Aaron Butler, Tanja Bowman? Appreciate you coming out. Fabian, what's going on? Aaron Butler, Melvin Groom. Appreciate you guys joining us. Zeke and Raven 76. Be more in the house as well. Also Walter Heaps. Appreciate you guys coming out. So yeah, we're going to get into some over-unders, and I think it could be interesting because there's a lot of new faces, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that could certainly vault themselves into some heavy production in their first year in Baltimore. So I think it's going to be interesting to see when we get to some of those new names. But where should we start, Jimbo?
Yeah, and one of the things I want to say on that note, DK, what we'll ask you to do is when we get to rookies, the rookie class, if you can put up on the banner your projected over-under based on whatever awesome sauce you have going in the background. And then Glenn and I will be able to work. We'll make our predictions, but I don't know. I say let's, I don't want to start with the quarterback because I feel like that's, it's an easy place to start.
We'll leave him for the end. Do you want to start on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start on the defense. Do you want to start right up front and we'll get into sacks?
Yeah, let's do it. So who do you want to? Do you want to start with the number one draft pick, the first overall?
We won't start there because we'll give DK a chance to give us his over under.
Okay.
Based on what he's cooking in the background, but I think we should start with a few guys. I think we'll go Calais and Derek, and then Justin. I think will be an interesting one. I guess he's probably an easy one, but you never know. But we'll start with Calais, old Calais Campbell, and I guess we got to throw Purnell and Tyus in there too, right?
Certainly Tyus. We can throw anyone you want in.
I mean, let's see. Purnell last year had 3 sacks. He had more than Tyus Bowser.
Yeah, Tyus, you got to start talking interceptions.
Yeah, that's true. But let's start with
Calais Campbell.
Oh wow, that wasn't bad.
And we'll go. He had, let's see, total tackles, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Glenn, but total tackles 30, sacks. Oh, no, excuse me. Total tackles 28, sacks 24, tackles for loss.
Sacks 4.
Wow.
If he had 24, then he is
the best defensive player of all time. Yeah, 4. Excuse me. Omit the 2. Yeah, 4. And then tackles for loss, 6.
Okay.
And I think that those are the 3 numbers we'll stick to unless you want to do. I mean, I don't even see like a pass breakup or deflections. Pass deflections.
6.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Breakups, but now we'll stick to the main ones. Yeah. So 4 sacks, and I mean, really, we're talking sacks here. We're not worried about tackles.
All right.
I mean, they're nice, and I think he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But when you're talking to the front, certainly guys that go after the passer, we're talking sacks. So when you see 4 sacks from Calais Campbell, obviously this is a guy who's been one of the best sack artists in the league over his career, but certainly had a down year in that department last season. So only played in 12 games. This year he has the opportunity to play in 17 with the extra game. What do you see? Do you see him going over 4 sacks or slipping and going under?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a long answer. Hopefully it won't be too long. But anytime you do like any exercise in reps of 3, the worst is the second, right? Because you're 1 in, you're on your second one. So if you're doing like 3 laps, your second lap is the one that's the most brutal. And then the third one, you take it home. It's all adrenaline, right? It's the last one. The first one, you're feeling good. The second one's sucky. And the last one, you just ride it home with adrenaline. But so I'm saying that to say that Calais Campbell's, I believe this is his last ride. And I think that this season will be adrenaline filled. Every single game, I think, will get the best possible form of a 35-year-old Calais Campbell that we can get. And so he will be over. I see it around, I'm going to say 6 to 8, high being 8, but I think that 6 to me might be his floor this year.
Wow. So, I mean, a lot of it comes down to health, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, health and health, the extra game, like you said, and then also the guys that are around him. I think with Justin Metabike being another force in the pass rush game from the interior can take some attention off of Calais from a pass rush perspective.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine a season in which he plays even 15 of the 17 games and doesn't get more than 4 sacks. So, I tend to agree with you that I think it's over on the 4, and I think that's pretty easy unless there's an injury there.
Nice.
All right, and then DJ Balogun, is that? I'm probably not saying that right, but appreciate DJ. He says Calais 8, Oweh 11, Ferguson 7, and McKee 4. Let me ask you this, Jimbo. What would shock you more, Oweh with 7
Ferguson 7? Ferguson 7. Ferguson gets on the board with 1. I'm surprised.
And you're shocked? Oh, let me see what he did last year because he had to have 1, right?
Let's see.
Mean,
where's he at? He had 2.
He had 2. Look at that. But you're not feeling okay now. DJ, I hope you're so right about Oweh because I want to see Jimbo have to eat that microphone cover right off his mic.
That's right.
Live on YouTube.
Just like the Cookie Monster.
I mean, you can put a little mustard or something on there for flavor, and that's fine. But you're eating that thing when he gets to double digits, and we're going to have to explain it to your wife later when she's driving you to the emergency room to get that unlodged from whatever spot it gets stuck at.
So terrible.
But yeah, I mean, hey, that's optimistic. That would be spectacular because I think you can, with those numbers, you could certainly throw in a couple more from some of the other guys like Bowser, and that would be a nice total. So I hope DJ is onto something there. But yeah, let's stay in that department.
Yeah.
If you want to, we can just stick there. And I want to move on to Mr. Bowser. He just got paid all that money. I know that that's not necessarily his strong suit, pass rush. He's more known for his coverage and certainly developing that sideline to sideline speed when handling the run game. But do you see an uptick in his sack totals? He only had 2 last year. Obviously, he getting that big of a contract, playing the position he does. Some are saying you need more than 2 sacks. What do you think?
I'm going to say yes, over. I don't think it's going to be anything. I don't think it's going to be a tremendous jump. I think that the Ravens signed Tyus Bowser to be Tyus Bowser. And I think he's going to be better this year because he's going to be looser. He's going to be confident. He's one of the vets in the room. He's just another year into the system, another year developing as a player. And so I think in that way, he'll be better. But as far as sacks go, I don't see him ever making a big jump. I think, like I said, I mean, he's going to be Tyus Bowser in this defense, and so I don't know if them asking him to do something that he hasn't been doing in the past makes the most sense in the world. But I think he will get to the quarterback more. It's not going to be anything crazy.
So just a slight uptick.
Yeah. So like 3 to 5, but nothing. Like I don't think he'll ever get up to 7 to 9. Something like that.
Just not his game.
Right.
I got you.
Not his game, and also think not his role, maybe, too, in the defense.
Yeah, it makes sense because Wink likes to cycle guys in and out. Now, if this was the old defense where your outside linebacker stays on the field for 90% of your snaps, like T. Says used to do, then he has the opportunity. But I think you're right. I think that, they'll like to cycle in fresh bodies. And also, I didn't mention this with Calais, but I do think that there's still another person going to be added to this group that will be known more primarily for rushing the passer, namely Justin Houston, and he'll be getting a lot of those pass rush snaps. But I do agree, it's over 2. 2 is, you can almost fall into 2 if you're playing a full season. Especially the way the Ravens
Ferguson did it, right?
Right. If he can do it, anyone can do it. So I would have to go with at least 3 or 4 as well.
So it seems like DJ is a big Odafe Oweh fan. Oweh took a lot of attention, which made Micah Parsons go free. With our defense, you just cannot focus on Oweh too many monsters. That's a great point in that we do have some guys on our defense. You can't hone in on one. I don't know if we're relatively special in that way. I think almost every defense has guys. At this point in the league, you know what I mean? To be here and to be a starter in the NFL, you got to be a guy. But I understand your point. I didn't watch a ton of Penn State. I know they were in the Big Ten, but I don't know what your opinion is on the first part, Glenn. Obviously, I know that usually when middle linebackers have success, like Micah Parsons did, there's some good guys up front. Mm-hmm. Generally is how it goes. Look at Ray Lewis's career. But what's your take on that?
I think he's got a shot, man. I think it really comes down to his progression. Is he able to kind of grow his game into his athleticism? Because he's got all that you need, and I'm confident that the coaching staff will be able to help him do that. It's just 11's a lot. 11 is a whole lot for a rookie for sure, especially when you consider this is a rookie coming off of a shortened season. This is a long grind of a season. We just saw Jihad Ward put out a kind of a funny tweet. He said, I love Baltimore. I'll miss Baltimore, but I won't miss that conditioning test. So, it's just another level when you come to the pros. So I'm worried that, he could hit that rookie wall that we see, especially on the defensive side of the ball in the trenches. But I'm a little bit more bullish, but let's get right into it. Let's talk about Oweh.
Yeah,
and
there we go.
Where should we set the over under sack at? That's my question.
Yeah. Daniel, what's your take on that? Based on your statistical analysis.
And it's not easy because he put up 0 sacks. Wow. Okay. So Daniel puts it at 8. I think I know where Jimbo's going to go with this.
I got to go under, man. I got to stay safe.
Yeah, you
I
need
don't
it.
Eat this microphone cover.
Yeah, we're gonna get some salsa or some hot sauce for you to dip that sucker sauce in. Oh, is that right?
Can I rip it into pieces?
Of course. Do I
have to eat the thing like this? Or
Look,
can I
No, I think we can be a little lenient there.
All right, but as long as I got barbecue sauce, I'm good. I can literally eat anything with barbecue sauce.
So we got 8 as the over under. Man, what's tough about that one is because I know you're probably thinking that's in your estimation not too tough. It doesn't sound like you're thinking he's going to get that. To me, I think he's right at 8. That's kind of where I'm putting him. Just because I feel like his draft position, his need on the field, we don't have a ton of guys that can do what he can do. I think he's going to get used a ton in those positions and get the opportunity. I think he makes the most of it. So I say, I wish, what? We might have to put halves at these, DK, because that way I can't say push. If you made it 7.5, I'd have to go over.
But can't he actually get half a sack?
Oh, he can. Dang it. You're right. That's the one stat where you can't have half a catch, but you can have half a sack. Son of a gun. Okay. I'm going to go over here. And by the way, I'm taking notes, Jimbo, and we will review these notes
nice.
If I'm, reminded to do so after the season. I'm going to go over, though. I think he gets to 9, I'm going to say. But, yeah, they're mentioning the sat or in the chat, like Andrew Dolch says, and Drexentire Maximus. Oh wow, that's a name. It is a lot of times it's pressures here in Baltimore, and they end up getting it out, but. And we certainly respect, the efforts when they don't land, but they force a bad throw, early throw.
But let me tell you this, Glenn. We play the Browns late in the season 2 times. If Oweh breaks double digits against Baker Mayfield,
you'll gladly eat it.
Oh, so whatever comes of it, like
da, 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 have your fine china out, have a knife and fork.
Exactly. I'm, have the nice handkerchief in here and stuff. Handkerchief, the what is napkin or whatever.
Yeah, a little bib.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll be ready to go, man, because have some horseradish on the side. Yeah, I'll be all kinds of ready.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll be rooting for it to happen because that would be success on the field and hilarity in front of the camera. Yeah, Jimbo, one extra. Now he's got to make it through that grueling season because it's going to be a long one because we're going to see him in the preseason. This ain't no veteran that takes the preseason off. He's going to be a busy guy, so hopefully he can get through it. Seems like a worker. Any other guys on the front you want to talk about?
The only other one I want to highlight is let me ask you this. Brandon Williams had none last year. Over, under? I say he gets one.
Well, he can't go under. I say he stays the same and he gets a big donut again. Because he's not really on the field in those situations. The only time he would get a sack is if it's like, if third and one or something, and I don't even know why he would even be on the field in a guaranteed passing situation. So it would have to be third and short for one to have the mystery of the run for him to even be on the field. And then, something crazy would have to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm going
over.
You're going over. Okay. Well, one is all it takes. So
that's right.
It's not that big of a stretch. But let me ask you about Tyus. He had 3 last year. Pernell McPhee. He had 3 last year. What are your thoughts on Pernell?
I'm gonna push on that one.
You think it's exactly 3?
Yeah, I think it's exactly 3. I think it's 3, and I think if we hit the postseason, he gets 1 in the postseason.
Yeah, he's a gamer, man. You know what though? I'm gonna say under for the year. Not because, I don't like the guy, but I feel like, he doesn't get you a ton of sacks for a reason. He's getting a little older. And I do, like I said, think there's going to be additions to that room. All right, let's switch sides. You want to go running back or wide out?
Let's go right to the meat of it. Let's go to wide out because there's a lot of them we got to talk about as well. We didn't get to Justin Madubuike, though.
Ooh. Well, this is easy, though. Anything we say, it's going to be a guaranteed over.
Well, what did he do last year? I guess that's true. That is.
It really doesn't matter, right? He got 1 sack. Is he going to get more than 1?
He's going over.
Okay.
How high do you think he's going over, though? I think there's a chance he has more sacks this year than Odafe.
Oh, stop it.
Why not?
Well, one's playing a premier position that sacks
and
are
rendered
a big part.
0 sacks in college in a whole season. Rendered 0. Freaking Joe Ortiz had the gall to reference a play that was a Hail Mary in college in which he got a sack his junior year. Get out of here. Don't feed me that, Joe.
Would you like to place a little gentleman's wager on sack totals between Madubuike and Odafe Oweh? Because I'd be glad to take Odafe.
No.
Oh, man.
I said there's a chance.
You're backpedaling like Marlon.
No.
Holy smokes.
I said there's a chance. But it's in the realm of possibilities. But you're right. All the odds are in Udafe's favor. It should happen. I could see him getting a lot of pressures like somebody mentioned. But Madubuike, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Yeah, I got him at like 5. I got him at 5. DJ says with James Logic Ferg should be a 0 ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, DJ. Maybe you could clarify.
0 ballot.
He's certainly not even. I think right now he's struggling to make a reason to keep him in the league after his rookie deal, much less Hall of Fame. My dog is pulling all the blankets and burying her ball. And anyway, it's distracting me. But I'm not really sure what you mean there, DJ. We appreciate the super chat. But hopefully if you just want to clarify another comment, we'll throw that one up there as well. But I think he's a little higher on old Ferg than you are, which that's not tough because you are pretty down in the dumps on Mr. Ferguson there. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's switch sides. Let's talk wide receiver. This is a big one because there's a lot of new names to the group and some guys that haven't been here, in previous years. So I want to start with Devin Duvernay. And the reason is because a lot of people are talking about him saying, this is the year. This is the year they take the training wheels off of this guy. He becomes the player that we're hoping. We saw flashes of him, really did nothing but impress every time he had the ball, whether it was a return, a catch, or even a rush out of the backfield on one of those jet sweeps. They like to get the ball to him. So last year, Jimbo, he had 4 rushing attempts for 70 yards with a long of 42. And then he had 20 catches for 201 yards. So I'm going to set the receiving total over under at 200. Now he had 0 touchdowns.
Well, he had 1 special teams touchdown.
Right, but offensively, he had 0. And really, for these purposes, over-under wise, I guess we can't really get into, unless you just want to put a total as far as return touchdowns. But as far as yards go, I see what he's saying. So if you're using college sacks as a meter, certainly Ferguson lit it up. I mean, he set the record. And Odafe was the exact opposite, did absolutely nothing. It's funny how that, but certainly the level of competition was different for the two. Their projected outlook as a pro was obviously very, very different as well. But yeah, do you have anything to say on that, Jimbo?
No, I mean, I understand your point. I get it. I get concerned when what concerns me is not the lack of production, but it's the lack of production with the stats. Like the combination of lack of production, but the raw numbers that people obsess with, the 4.39, the vertical jump. At the end of the day, you got to put the pads on and play football.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Like, yeah, you might look good running a 40, but I mean, you got to play football. Right. So I just want to make sure that he is a football player, not just freakishly athletic human that is big enough to play football.
I got you. I understand. All right. So we're going to put the over-under for Devin Duvernay at 200 yards receiving. I mean, I think this is just – I think I got to move it up because 200 yards, we were going off of last year. I got to bump this up. I can't leave it at just that.
I was say that's an easy one.
Yeah, I'm going to bump that up just not ton. I mean, just 50% more. I'm going to go up to 300. So do you still find it an easy one if I say 300? Now, remember, he's got Sammy Watkins. He's got Marquise Brown. He's got Rashad Bateman. He's got Tylan Wallace. He's got Miles Boykin. There's a lot of guys above him, or seemingly at least a lot of those names are above him on the depth chart.
Did you say Mark Andrews? I mean, as far as catching the football,
right? Exactly. As far as a receiving target, that's another name that is obviously one of the favorites, if not the favorite of Lamar. So over under 300 yards. What are you thinking?
I'm going
only
over.
One ball. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm going over, slightly over. But I am going over. I think he'll just get more opportunities. And real quick, shout out to Devin McShane. Appreciate the love. Love watching live, but gotta save this for work tomorrow to help me get through. Catch you guys in the AM. Hey man, we're glad we could do it for you because Glenn and I have been there where there's a lot of shows that we get attached to. When we're at work and things like that. And certainly we appreciate you letting us be a part of your day, whether it's in the AM or the PM or, any other time. Not that there's another time, but,
other than AM, PM, where you got?
I have no idea. But anyway, so I'm going over.
I'm going under. I think
going under
only because, and I'm excited about Duvernay, but I just think there's a lot of guys I'm excited about. And, this is certainly a run-first offense. While I do think that there will be some expansion to the passing game, I don't think Devin Duvernay is going to be, on the the receiving end of most of those catches. I think he impacts the game as a return man and does a little bit. I think he gets about 250, 280, but just under 300 is my prediction.
Interesting.
So who do you want to go talk about next?
Let's
Jimbo?
talk about Marquise Brown.
Oh, I was waiting when you were going to bring up Marquise. Nana's favorite, Marquise Soldier Brown.
We saw the article.
Appreciate you putting it over to us.
Thank you.
What are you thinking? So last year, let me just give you his totals last year. He had 58 catches, 769 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So we're going to go we're going to go touchdowns and receiving yards this year since he was an impact player. I'm going to give you an over-under on both. So I'm going to set the over-under receiving at 800 yards. And then I'm going to leave the touchdowns right where they're at 8 because I think there is a lot of extra bodies in the building. And I need to know 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. You going over or under that, Jimbo?
800 yards, 8 touchdowns?
Yep.
I'm going
and
under.
And you can split them up. So under for both or under for one?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
That's what she said.
Oh,
got him. Got him.
Let's see.
Set me up.
So I'm going under for 8 touchdowns, certainly.
Wow. Okay. So under for the touchdowns.
And DJ, I might have to agree. I don't know about under 600 or under. I don't think he gets over 800 based on the same thing, Glenn, that there's only one ball. I don't think he's going to get this lion's share. He's not going to be able to monopolize the football like he did last year, even if he is Lamar's boy. Because trust me, Sammy Watkins is going to be open. Mm-hmm, he knows how to get open in the NFL. I think that, and I believe that Rashad Bateman is the man. Like, I've really, really started to like Rashad Bateman, his mentality. He is team first, a really hard worker. Not that Hollywood doesn't have it, but I've said it before. Like, I feel like Rashad has a real dog chip on his shoulder type mentality. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I feel like Hollywood's getting a little bit of slack in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. And I think he needs a little kick in the pants. So I don't think that this year is going to be ultra productive if I have to put my money on it. So I'm going to go under 800. Wow. I'm going to go under for both. Oh, surprising. If you would have asked me this 2 months ago, I would have said over for both easy.
Man, not feeling Marquise Brown. Okay.
Not today.
Well, if you're a Marquise Brown fan,
I'm sorry, guys.
It's good news because I'm high on Marquise this year. I agree with that article that Nana Rave sent over. I think that, he's a hard worker. You mentioned it. This is the first year he's not rehabbing in the offseason. Yep. I love that. I love the fact that he's a grinder. And I most love the fact that he has a strong relationship with his best pal, the quarterback of the team, Mr. Lamar Jackson. I think that is such a big point. It doesn't really matter to me how many weapons the Ravens bring in as far as Marquise's production because he loves him some Marquise Brown. That's his buddy. That's it. I mean, he trusts the guy. And I think this year his role is he's going to be able to slide into a more comfortable role, a role that fits him better. He's going to be able to be put in positions that he's not going to be overmatched physically like we saw last year where he was getting pushed around. He's not going to be in those spots. They got guys for those spots. It's not going to be Marquise having to do something that he's not very comfortable doing. I think he goes over 1,000 yards, and I think he gets to double-digit touchdowns. So I got 1,010. Oh yeah, Jimbo, I'm high on him. I think we see those big shots coming back that we saw from 19, and we see more of them because look, there's just too many weapons. You can't. Last year, the opposing defenses said we're going to bracket Mark Andrews. And we're going to bracket Mr. Hollywood Brown. We're going to let everyone else single coverage, and you got to beat us. They're not going to let Hollywood over top. Well, now it's a whole new ball game. Got a lot of weapons. Not going to be able to focus like that on him. So I like Hollywood Brown to show
DK, where
out
you at?
This year.
Where are you at on this? I'm interested to know.
Yeah, DJ wants a bet. Oh, my goodness, DJ. I don't know how we could make a bet. But I'm confident in him. I mean, I'm confident in the sense that
DJ, where are you located?
I'd be willing to bet. I just don't know how we can make it happen.
And this is what I decided, Glenn. We will bet on what we will bet on by the end of the season, and we'll put a wager on it. We'll talk about by the end of the show. But whoever gets the most over unders right, we can certainly take a bet on that.
Yeah, and it could always end up being some sort of pain. Ooh, so he's got him right. You can't have him right at it, DK. I mean, that's you just put him right at the over unders. You got a straight push, 800 on the nose. I mean, he's not going to go 799, not 801. I mean, man, you're really riding the fence there a little bit, DK. We need some. I'm
gonna start calling you Dwight Schrute.
Exactly. You're perched on that fence, not trying to go either way.
Oh. So I'm in the minority here.
He sided with me.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, DK, you ready to put up an over-under for Rashad?
DJ lives in Owings Mills, by the way.
Hey.
So he's close to the situation. All right. Okay.
Throw a bet in there. See if Glenn will take it there, DJ. But let's see, Rashad Bateman at 600 yards.
I think that's a good start because what was Marquise at?
That first year?
Yeah, that first year. I want to say he was around 7
was it like
or something like that.
659 or like 745?
Let me see.
I think it was like 659.
584.
Oh, I was high.
Yeah, so 600 is high. Okay, I like where he put it though because it's at least it's a thought here. I'm going to go under, but not by much. I think he gets to around 550. But I just think that there's a lot of guys there that are going to be, namely Marquise Brown's going to be eating up a lot of them targets, a lot of them yards and touchdowns. So I'm going to go slightly under. I think he gets to around 550. So not terrible year, but still, I mean, if I would have told you, I mean, Marquise had a fantastic rookie year, right? I mean, by all standards, he had a very, very good year and he didn't get to 600. So I'm going to go slightly under, but I like where it's at. What do you think, Jimbo?
This is bold, Glenn. This is bold. I can see DK getting ready not to laugh in the background.
It's because you're going to say way over.
This is bold, but I think that by the end of this season, Rashad Bateman will have supplanted himself. Will have supplanted
himself?
Hollywood Brown.
Okay.
Hollywood Brown and firmly concreted himself.
Trying to use different words.
As the true number one alpha in this room.
Wow.
This wide receiver room. I say he goes over 600 yards, and I say that there's going to be some serious momentum behind Rashad Bateman and maybe a little less behind old number 5, Marquise Brown. I think Rashad is the man.
Is Rashad going to be taking Lamar to the games by midseason? Is he going to take
That's how
his
good
beat?
I think Rashad's going to be that it won't matter. That it won't even matter.
Carpool? Dang.
It won't even matter. And look, let's see. Yeah, I think the kid is going to be good. I think his ability to win 50-50 balls is going to be good for Lamar on third downs, but also in moments where the plays break down and in the red zone. I think that him and Lamar will be able to work well together, and I think Bateman will make the most of his opportunities. DJ, let's see. 900. Rashad's 900s plus his ability to find the soft spot in the zone, plus the fact that he gets open after the play breaks down. Something that Sammy does well too. All right, fair enough. Okay. I think that his physicality,
900 yards from any receiver in Baltimore is something. We've only had, one that's been drafted to go over 1,000. Man, okay, all right. I think you guys are a little steep, but I'll be rooting for you to be right, obviously, since I'm
going whatever the over under is. I'm saying 6 touchdowns.
Wow, another big one.
Oh, so I'm going under.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going under that as well. I think 4 or 5 is what I'm anticipating for him because, remember, there's some pretty favorite red zone targets here in Baltimore.
Yep. Of course, Mark Andrews.
Yeah, so
compete with.
Yeah, so I'm going to say so you said under on the touchdowns. I agree, under on the touchdowns. Now, DJ also mentioned Sammy Watkins in there. Now, this one's going to be a tough one because first of all, he's coming from a whole nother team. And second of all, he's missed an awful lot of games, right?
Should we average out his seasons?
I mean, what type of math skills do you think I got here, Jimbo? You think what do you want me to do here? I don't,
give me a second and I can probably do it. I mean, I'm going to use a calculator.
What do you think? You're better than me?
No, it might even have it here on the.
It feels like you think you're better than me, but go ahead.
Okay, just give me a second. Talk about Sammy and let me say
this. His rookie year was his career high at 65 catches as far as receptions, and then the following year was his career high in yards with 1,047. But he's been as low as 421 last year and 37 catches, actually 28 catches in a injury shortened season back in 2016. So big range in what he's done at his peak and what he's done at his worst. When the injury bug bit. What's the average there, Jimbo?
Dude, he averages. Look, Sammy would average this number because he's had like a string of bad luck with injuries. He averages 666 yards per year.
That's it.
Poor Sammy would get stuck on that number, right?
I am leaving. Yeah, that's bad luck. Okay, so we'll put the over under at 665 because I am not messing around with any of that craziness. So 665 yards, and then what about touchdowns? Let's see.
Let me give you his average for touchdowns.
Okay. Let's see what you got, because he's had as high as 9 and as low as 2 last year, and 2 also in 16 when he only played in 8 of the 16 games.
4.7. So that's what we'll leave it right at. We'll leave it at what, 5?
Well, let's do 4.5. That way you have to do over under.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So what are you thinking? 665 yards, 4.5 touchdowns. What do you got?
I'm going under on the yards. I'm going under on the touchdowns.
Wow. So Bateman is your guy this year.
But let me say this. Let me speak into my crystal ball for all you Ravens fans out there. Sammy will do what he's been doing. Playoff P disappears in the playoffs. Sammy Watkins comes to play in the playoffs. We've seen it. Mm-hmm. And I think he has a big impact in the playoffs. Not saying he will be Lamar Jackson's Anquan Bolden to Joe's, with Joe Flacco and Anquan Bolden in that year we went to the Super Bowl, but could have some similar moments. Wow. That could take you back to the old Anquan Bolden days where he really bailed Joe out of a couple plays and made something out of nothing. I could see Sammy doing some of that too. Yeah,
certainly seems like something he could handle there. To me, it comes down to, obviously, like most, the injuries, right? I mean, I think if he stays healthy, we see a return to some of what we saw when he was under Greg Roman last time, when his worst season under Greg Roman when healthy was 982 yards. His best was 1,047. So the guy's put up crazy numbers in this system.
Yep.
So for that reason, I'm going to go over. And I think just slightly. I think, we always talk about on here how the Ravens do a fantastic job, strength and conditioning, keeping guys on the field. And, the investment into having live grass fields has paid off. And I think it pays off in a big time way with Sammy. Their connection between him and Lamar has been, evident throughout all these camps we've had leading up to this point. And namely the big play connection that they've been able to establish. So I think that we're going to see some big shot plays from him. I think he gets just over that, not much, but a little over 700 yards. And I think he gets about 5 or 6 touchdowns. So not crazy over. I'm not, anticipating him a return to, his season in Buffalo when he went over 1,000, had 9 touchdowns. I'm not quite there yet, but I do think he goes over that mark. And I'm excited that we have a lot of differences, because sometimes we get on here and we end up saying very similar takes because you just copy everything I say, as you've been doing for years. As you've been doing since we were children.
Fair enough.
No, I just made that up. But except, yes, we have known each other that long. But okay. So we've gotten through those guys. Now there's one guy left that I want to talk about in the receiver room.
We didn't give a shout out to Luis Cubias here, whose team Rashad for the win. 750 plus, 7 touchdowns. Looks like I'm not alone, Glenn.
No, you're not. You're not. Hey, believe me, I want to be wrong on that one. There's no doubt about it. But man, wouldn't that be the single greatest season by a rookie receiver in the franchise's
I'm not going
history?
that far. But
didn't you have him at 900 or something?
No. That was our guy. DJ had him at 900.
Okay.
Yeah, no. But and then the other DJ right here, he said Sammy 700 plus. He'll be healthy. Fountain of Youth right here that he found. Mm-hmm. And so look, I think one thing that is certain.
I like it.
That one thing that is certain for the Ravens and the Ravens media and some of these players, it's hard to know how good a guy is until you see him in person. Of course, Sam was taken 4th overall, so he had some clout coming into the NFL. But after injuries and 7 years in the league, that kind of dies out, right? Mm-hmm. But I think when you see him in practice and he's healthy, I think people are like, "Dang, this kid is good." When he's healthy, he's a good football player, right? Like the thing about Sammy, he's like a Ferrari. It just takes a lot to keep the maintenance up. Where he's not a Honda Civic, he's not a Toyota Corolla, he's not going to keep rolling on you. But
I got a Corolla.
Yeah, they're the best.
The rock and roller, as I like to call it.
And Living Legend was hating on Sammy. He said he's going under for Hammy.
That's not really hating. I mean, that's
true. That's true.
He's just looking at the the statistics, the data, as they say. And data says that he's going to miss at least some games, but hopefully it's
96% chance.
Yeah, that's right. We did look that up. Yeah, that hurt to see that written out in front of me. Now, quickly, I don't want to spend too much time here because we got a lot of guys to get through. Miles Boykin, he had 266 yards and 4 touchdowns. Where you at on Miles?
Under and under.
Yep.
Ooh, that would be a terrible season. Whoo!
I 100% agree with you. I hope I'm, again, wrong, but under as well. All right, let's switch to the other side of the ball.
My bad. I feel like I'm slowing you up here.
No, it's all good. Let's switch to the other side of the ball. I want to talk about the secondary because the secondary did a fantastic job by creating turnovers last year, and they did it in a different way. You know, not necessarily a ton of guys are going to be out there as a corner forcing 8 fumbles like Marlon Humphrey did. So, and Marcus Peters was no slouch pitching in with 4 forced fumbles. So, as a total, you know, he forced 4 fumbles. I'm not sure how many of those were actually recovered because I remember quite a few were going out of bounds. But let's just talk about forced fumbles and interceptions for Marlon Humphrey. He had 8 forced, and then he had just one interception.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about those numbers? You think
I
either
think
one
he's
goes
going
up?
over? It's over under. So over on interceptions, under on forced fumbles. I think that 8, that's a lot. It's just something that's going to be hard to repeat. So I'm going to go over on the interceptions, under on that. And then also DK remind us we got to do Tylenol Wallace. We'll get back to him here in a bit. But yeah, over under.
Okay.
Over.
Yeah, I got you. I agree with you. I think it's 8 pass or forced fumbles is just absolutely insane. I don't care what position you play, but certainly at the receiver position, that is unbelievable. I hope he continues to do it.
Secondary position.
What did I say?
Receiver position.
Jeez Louise. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, in the secondary, if you can get 8 forced fumbles, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's like that'd be high for a middle linebacker with 120 tackles.
And he had 2.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for a loss too. I mean,
he's a football player.
Yeah.
This guy is no finesse player. He can do it in every single way. All right, how about Marlon? I mean, Marcus.
Marcus Peters was at, let's see,
4-4.
Yeah, 4-4. I'm going over on the interceptions. I'm going under on the forced fumbles. But I think he pulls 5 is my floor for him, interceptions this year. I think he balls out. And so 5, I'm going over and under. What about you?
I go over.
I like
but
it.
Not many. I think he gets 5 forced fumbles, and I think he gets around 7 interceptions. So I think way over in interceptions. I think this year, again, I think they're adding to the pass rush, and I think it'll be, absolutely fantastic with the group that they have. And I know I'm being a little bit confident, and also the fact that they're going to sign Justin Houston, but the writing's on the wall that he's coming. And unless some other team swoops in with a late, last-ditch offer, I think he's here before training camp. And if he's here, it's trouble for opposing quarterbacks. Our secondary is only going to be better. And I think he's going to be the quarterbacks are going to be forced to throw balls they don't want to throw. And who baits quarterbacks into making bad throws in this league more than Marcus Peters? I don't think you'll find one. So I got to go Marcus Peters going to go over and shock some people with those forced fumbles, especially. Wouldn't shock anyone to see him get 7 picks.
No.
But to get five forced fumbles after a year, he gets 4, I think would be shocking.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got those. Do we want to talk anyone else? How about this? Over under how many games Tavon Young is going to play? Because I think this is
it at. Whatever you set it at, I'm going over. I think he gets through the season this year.
What?
Yep, I think he gets through the season. I got a weird feeling in my gut that he gets through the season.
That's awfully weird. I tell you what, I hope you're right, but let me see. What has he played? What's his career? I don't even see. I'm looking at last year's stats. I don't even see him listed here. What do you think is a safe number to put out? 5?
I think 6.
6, and you're going over.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Man,
I think the injuries are behind him now. He's had too many of them.
Yeah,
what else is there?
Yeah, what else can you hurt
and repair?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Man, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna go by his track record. I'm gonna say under. I don't think he gets there. Man, I just hope he makes it to that second game, and that he's healthy for that daggone Chiefs game, so they can beat those guys into the dirt. because I'm getting sick and tired of these Chiefs fans saying that the Ravens can't beat them. But I'm going to say under and hope that I'm absolutely wrong. All right, so do you want to talk the safeties, or do you want to switch and go back to?
Well, let's go safeties real quick because I got an intriguing take here. I think let's just do interceptions for them if that works for you.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, cool.
Deshaun Elliott had 0 and Chuck Clark had 1.
So I mean, I'm going over for Elliott, but I'm going over in a big way. I think he rivals Marcus Peters this year. I think he has the second most interceptions on our team. I think that's the next step in his game. I've been saying it before, and maybe I've been listening a little too much of Vinny on 105.7, but he is really high on Deshaun and his ability to make plays on the football. And he's convinced me that this will be the next evolution of his game in the NFL. And so I'm gonna go in over in a big way, 4-6.
Wow. Okay. Well, I certainly hope you're right. I do think he'll get 1, right? I think he'll get over 0. And he was a fantastic ball hawk in college. So it's possible. And I do think a second year playing, confidently, this is a guy who didn't even know if, I'm sure he was confident, but he didn't know for sure if he could do it at a high level in the NFL. Now he knows he can. So I do think that looseness will lead to, more instinctual plays instead of being worried about, if I take myself out of my zone. I think he'll be loose and be able to play more instinctual, and that'll lead to picks. I think 5 is probably the ceiling I would go with, but I think 3 to 4 is probably. I feel real comfortable saying he'll get at least 3 to 4. Chuck Clark, I think 1 is right there. I just don't look at him as a ball hawk. I saw him drop too many easy ones that were ducks falling right into his hand. And it's funny because he made a really nice interception on the one that he did pull in. So I'm going to go even and 1 for Chuck Clark, and over. I agree with you on Deshaun Elliott. All right, let's switch sides. Talk about a little bit of running backs, because this one's really going to be interesting to see what type of jump JK makes. So JK last year broke in the league, 805 yards, 9 touchdowns, led the league as a running back for yards per carry. So that's I'm going to bump it a little bit. I'm going to go 850 for his yards, and I'm going to keep the touchdowns right there because now he's our primary back, whereas last year he went into the season really as the 3. So what is your thoughts on, JK?
Yeah, I think this one will be interesting, and I'm going to go over on the yards. I'm going to go under on the touchdowns. And for the yards, I think he flirts with 1,000. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up right under 1,000, only because, just like you said, there's only 1 ball in the passing game. It's kind of the same in the rushing game with, you add Lamar to that mix, you add, Mr. Consistency in Gus Edwards, but also, there's some wrinkles in there with Ben Mason as well, with Devin Duvernay as well. So there's a lot of guys that are going to be rushing the football. So I'm going to say, over on the yards, but slightly, and under on the touchdowns.
Wow. Okay. I like over on both. I think he goes over 1,000. I mean, we saw Mark Ingram go over 1,000 in Lamar's 2019 season. I don't think there's any reason to think JK can't do the same and actually go beyond. I think he gets up to 11 this year, and I think he gets double-digit touchdowns. 9 touchdowns. It looked easy for him last year. Easy 9. Like it was an easy 9. This year, I think our offensive line is better. He has an extra game, which obviously helps. And he's the primary ball carrier day one. I mean, last year, it's funny. He played in 15 of 16 games, and they only have his list in starting 1, which obviously, if you think about it, he had 10 less carries than Gus. So this isn't a guy who had a ton of carry. I think those carries skyrocket, and he has a big, big season. So I go over in both in a big, big way. Now, Gus Edwards, your favorite Raven, had 723 yards on the ground last year and 6 touchdowns to go along with it. Got a new contract, wants to prove he's worth that new contract. I think he will, but what do you think? Over, under 723 and 6 touchdowns.
I'm going to take the over on both.
Wow.
I think that Gus, the one thing that I think could happen in this offense in the running game is we talk about like defensively obvious passing plays, like Brandon Williams or something. I think that Gus, he's been on the field for obvious running plays for a long time now for us, but I think that we'll see Gus on a lot more first downs. I think that JK will be used more in the deceptive type plays where maybe not Gus. We know what we're going to do with Gus. We know what we're going to get out of him. So I think he'll be used a little bit more than in his previous seasons. So I think the balance will be a little bit more equal between the two. I don't think it'll be a 1 and 2. I think it'll be 1A, 1B in the distribution of carries. So I'm going to say over for both.
I like it. I think he goes slightly over in yardage. I think he goes a little under in touchdowns. And I just think that JK is going to get a ton of them. And then, obviously Lamar Jackson's going to continue. I mean, he had 7 rushing touchdowns last year. I think he's going to continue to put pressure on the defense and continue to do what he does on the ground. So I think 6, he could easily go over. I think the Ravens like to really highlight their highly paid players. So because Gus is now one of the higher paid offensive players, I think he'll be highlighted more. So and really Justice Hill, I mean, he had 12 carries last year. I don't think they're going to look to get him, heavily involved or anything like that. And so with Mark Ingram gone and his 72 carries gone as well, I think those are just redistributed to Gus and JK and not necessarily given to Justice Hill. So I think both of them have a big, a slight. Well, I think Gus has a slight workload increase. JK a big workload increase. So I go over in the yards, under in touchdowns. Now,
nice. Now wait, do you see Don C here? DK, according to my calculations, will be scoring 120 touchdowns this year. That's good, right?
Wasn't that? I don't think we were that crazy, right? I mean. Yeah, I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people in here are going nuts with the yardage and the numbers. I think that we're being relatively conservative in comparison to some of our counterparts here in the chat, guys. But Don C is always bringing the heat, man, cracking me up. I'll tell you what, it keeps it entertaining. Sorry, I know you're going to go to someone else. Are we going right to quarterback?
That's the last one. We got to talk about our guy. We got to
talk Mark Andrews too.
Oh yeah, dang it, I almost forgot. All right, let's do him first. Mark Andrews, how did we almost forget him? Or I almost forgot him. 58 catches, 701 yards, 7 touchdowns. I'm going to keep it right there. 707. What are you thinking, Jimbo?
I think he goes just under in the yards. I think he goes over in the touchdowns. That's right, Don. Add it to the list, baby. I think he goes, like I said, based on the fact there's more targets, I think he gets I think it's less targets, but I think he gets more in the red zone and timely targets. So I'm going under in yards, over in touchdowns.
Man, it's hard for me to imagine him not still being such a focal point, but I agree with you. There's so many more weapons now. But I still think Lamar Jackson's favorite and comfort zone is the middle of the field. I think that's where he feels best, and Mark Andrews dominates the middle of the field. So I think he goes over. I think he gets 750, somewhere in that range. So not crazy, but a little bit over. And I think he goes over in touchdown. Not crazy, just one more. I think he gets 8. I think he gets 750 with 8 touchdowns, because I think those added weapons, while also taking some targets, will also take some pressure and some heat off of Mark Andrews from the opposing defense. Yeah. I go over in both, and I hope I'm absolutely right there. Now, Lamar Jackson is a tough over-under because he does so much. We gotta make a long list of all his over-unders and what he does. So last year through the air, he had 2,750 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And then on the ground, of course, he had just over 1,000 with 1,005 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns on the ground. So I'm going to leave it at 1,000 as far as his
rushing.
His rushing totals.
I'm going under.
Yeah. You think it's time? You think he finally goes
just under, but I don't think you can. Yeah. I think it needs to be just under. Yeah. 750. Like that's not a lot. 750 is a ton of yards for a quarterback to be rushing. So yeah, I'm going under.
Okay, I like it. And then rushing.
Darren Siegel with he's one of our patrons here. Appreciate the love. 10 tutties from Andrews this year. I like it. I could totally see it. Absolutely. I mean, he is our best threat in the red zone. End of story. Right?
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's as good. But the problem is opposing defenses know that as well and will focus their attentions on him. No doubt about it. But that would be, I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility to see him get 10 touchdowns. And, I would be hyped for him to do that. So under in the yards, what about the touchdowns, Jimbo, on Lamar? Is he under 7 or what are you thinking?
I'm going to go under 7. Yes.
And I agree. I agree with you in the yards. I think his touchdowns stay the same. But I do think he finally goes under because I think he learns to check the ball down more. I think he's going to be encouraged to do so more often, get his running backs involved in the passing game more, and that'll cut down on some of his, the plays where he takes a passing play and turns it into a run play, which we see a good amount. It's funny, Greg Roman said, we did call more passing plays last year than run plays, but some of those pass plays turned into run plays after.
People forget.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, passing. He had 2,757 yards and 26 touchdowns. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, if 2,700 is the passing yards, if that's the over/under, I'm definitely taking over. I think he's around 3,300 to 3,500. I don't think 4,000 is a big milestone for him. I don't think he really cares that much based on what he can do with his feet. He's not as dependent on just throwing the football. So yeah, I'm going to say 3,300, 3,500 will be where he's at. I'm definitely taking the over.
And how about the touchdowns? 26.
I'm taking the over on that as well. And I'm taking the under on interceptions. The 9, I'm going under for sure.
Yeah, I think we see a very similar year that he had in 19. I think he's poised for a huge, huge season. Now, it doesn't hurt that he's going to have an opportunity to play in 2 more games than he did last year. He only played in 15. He's got a shot to play in 17, and there's no doubt that helps to add to the statistics. But I just think that we'll see a dip in his passing or his rushing and an increase in his passing for just what I mentioned earlier. He's going to be more apt to dump the ball down, take what the defense gives you, use the guys you have in front of you instead of trying to do all of it yourself. I think he'll get encouraged to do so. I mean, it's nice to have Lamar Jackson, just tuck the ball and let Gus or JK be the lead blocker. But I really think that for the longevity, for, a lot of different, you want to have those guys, catch the ball. I mean, look, as much as we love Lamar, I don't think Gus is better than Lamar in the open field. I'm not crazy. Yeah. But, let's get these guys moving. Let's get them involved. I think those two, I mean, if it's Lamar at number 1, I think it's safe to say that JK is certainly right behind him as far as guys you want the ball in their hand on offense. Yep. And then Gus has got to be, if not right behind him, certainly really close.
Yeah, Devin Duvernay. I mean, you got a lot of guys that you could find in short passing yard situations that are dangerous with the ball in their hands, right?
No doubt about it. And he's talked about working on his footwork, and I think that footwork will lead to more big plays down the field. We didn't see a ton of big plays from him last year where we did in 2019. So I think the big plays down the field combined with the willingness, more willingness to check the ball down leads to bigger yards, less interceptions, and more touchdowns. Luis Cubias says 3,800 passing, 33 touchdowns, 800 rushing, 5 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Man, that 3,800 would be absolutely special. When you add that 800 yards to it, that is just absolutely insane. And I think that,
and I'll see this stat line and I'll say, I think is going to be less than 9 interceptions. Excuse me. I think Lamar's going to clean it up this year. Yeah. And speaking of interceptions, sorry, I just want to mention this as far as regression alert, ladies and gentlemen, get ready this year. Cause shout out to Tony Thornton, who you guys know, he tweeted out somebody that was doing some in-depth analytics. Josh Allen last year led the league in dropped interceptions at 21. The only other player in the NFL to ever do that, you know who it was?
Who's that?
30 for 30 himself. Jameis Winston.
Jameis.
So I'm just saying. Everyone talking about Lamar's regression.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just a little salty because everyone thinks that Josh Allen this year is all of a sudden better than Lamar Jackson. Maybe I'm just a little salty.
Maybe.
Just be on the lookout.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that Lamar is poised for a big year. There is no doubt about it. Unless there's a rash of injuries across the offensive line, I don't see there being a chance that he doesn't put up a spectacular season. But look, you're talking about 3,800. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their history. I mean, that's hard to hit those numbers, even though it looked like Drew Brees was throwing for 5,000 every year.
Right.
That's just not the norm across the league, although some guys make it look like it is. It's certainly not. But, yeah, either way, big year for our Ravens offensively. And I think I'm high on the defense as well, whereas some seem to be a little bit less. I'm pretty pumped about them. But, yeah, as Don C. pointed out, if you guys haven't seen it yet, check out our interview with Sarah Ellison a couple nights ago. She was fantastic talking about the difference, in Lamar Jackson negotiating this contract without an agent, and how that is really affects, the agents, the player association, but also the national media. It really seems to be kind of irritating a lot of guys, and we got into the pros and cons, and check that out if you haven't seen it yet.
I want to give a shout out really quick to one of our commenters, because he brought up a good point, and it's something that you brought up in that show to Sarah. His name is Abermo Mbutum. He talked about how nobody questions Tom Brady taking a pay cut every single year. For the betterment of his team and to be able to surround his team with weapons. And, there's this narrative that if Lamar takes a pay cut, that he's going to, look like a fool, or people are going to give him a hard time, this, that, and the other. And the difference in perspective, the two players, it's really important, right? Because, there's the Kobe Bryant who will never take a discount, God rest his soul. And then the Tim Duncan, who's never going to take all the money he could have, right? There's two threads of thought there, both of them champions. But I think it's fair if Lamar wants to go that quote unquote Tim Duncan, Tom Brady route, you can't trash him for that either. I'm not saying that he will. I don't think he will, but it's not because of a lack of intelligence. He certainly knows what he's doing. So
I think the Ravens will get more trash than him. They'll get accused of taking advantage.
Right.
So I think it's more so the Ravens have to, if they're worried about their image, they have to keep that in mind when discussing this. Cause I think there is a chance that Lamar shocks people and doesn't become the highest or even second or third highest. I think there's a chance, because if we believe what he says in his pressers and his post game, we don't consider him a liar. He certainly withholds information. He's a private guy, but I don't think he outright lies. I think he's a genuine guy. So when he says, I'm, a lot of my success is from my team. If he really believes he's just part of a unit, maybe a big part, but still a part of a unit, maybe he does say, look, there's no reason I need to take $45 million. I'll be fine with 39, and that'll ensure that Mark Andrews is still here, and then my buddy Hollywood Brown and others are still able to stay here, and we can build this team around me. I don't need to break the record. I don't need to be the next highest paid. I don't need to do all that. My pool is towards winning a championship, building a contender every year, and not just am I the highest paid at my position. I think that's a very real possibility. But man, I don't think any way, no matter what this ends up being, the Ravens and him are probably going to get trashed by the media, because they value having agents involved, because that's where they get all their information. That's where they get all their scoops. That's where if you see inside source, it's like Sarah said, it's the agent. That's the inside source. It's the agent, because it's almost never the teams, because they don't want to divulge any information.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course they want more agents, and this is not something they want to see become a trend where young superstars do their contract negotiations without an agent.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to some shout outs. DK, I want you to hop in real quick and give us your take on who you're riding with on these over unders. Are you going with me? Are you going with Glenn over here? So let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, are we too optimistic? I mean, were we too crazy? Were we? What are your thoughts on our
hey guys?
Hey,
yeah, so I think you guys are pretty. I mean, I tried to help you guys stay within the realm of possibility here, so without going too crazy.
Reeling us in.
That's probably why you saw me right around the median, right where I was pushing the stats. So I think that we look pretty good. I mean, I feel optimistic that Lamar is going to have a great passing season this season. His rushing totals may take a dip because I believe they're trying to transition him into, especially with giving him weapons. It doesn't make sense to give him weapons if we're not going to have an offensive system where we're going to use them. So, with the variety of weapons we have, I do think that I say that Lamar definitely has over 3,500 passing yards this year, and which I think puts him at kind of MVP season level touchdown passes as well. And I agree with James that the interceptions will stay low because he's improved that much. So I'm excited about that, and I'm actually excited about him running less, because that means that we're, I think there's always been the perception, but I also do think that it may mean that he takes less hits out in the field. So, it's a part of his game that he's evolving. He's talked about the long ball for quite a while now. So I think it all comes together this season, and also together with that, the pass blocking, I think is much improved. Or I should say it will show that it has much improved. I think some people may or may not believe that, but I think it's going to be a big passing season for Lamar this season.
Wow.
Whew, it's going to be awesome.
Hopefully he'll silence some of his critics and some of the haters as well. But I'm not so sure he can.
So, Glenn, this is what we'll put on the line. The winner is hosted by the other person for dinner, like we did last year at the finals.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I mean, look, that's not really a loss for me. I love entertaining, especially good friends. So that would be actually a win for me. So we might have to creatively come up with something to do while we do that. So, but yeah, we'll
Glenn,
come up with
you're gonna make food? Are you gonna cook?
Oh, I always cook. Jimmy, I can throw down.
Oh, look, Glenn's got his own spot for me on the grill. He's got a baby grill.
I got a vegan spot
where he puts the vegan burgers just for me and my wife. He's very, very considerate.
That's right. Yeah,
I might have to mosey on over that day.
You would be very welcome, DK. No doubt about it. And I don't know if we can get you out of where you're at, because every time I see you on Facebook, you're at the pool, you're under the sun, you're enjoying yourself. I mean, I think you're looking like you're having a real good time over there in California.
Doing all right. I'm enjoying myself at the moment, but I love being home. So whenever I can spend time being at home, for sure.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Anytime. But I also wanted to point out one other thing. They talked about Tom Brady and all this. But, when you've been around, who do you think has made more money than anyone in NFL history?
Yeah, it's Tom Brady. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Even if his wife has money or not, he's made the most money based on his longevity. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's not forget that. But anyway, McDiamond, yes,
Nana
McDiamond, Don C, always hyping us up. Nana. Yeah, Nana, don't get all worked up don't start yelling at us. We understand your position.
We got you.
I'm just throwing out other ideas here and
living legend.
Yeah, trying to jump in his mind. Lisa Ann, appreciate you. Let's see who else. Fabian, appreciate you coming out.
Luis Cubias was all over it tonight, and DJ too.
Yeah, DJ. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you a ton.
Darren Siegel.
Yeah, Raven 76 B more. He's liking some points by me, which I appreciate that. Thank you, young man. And then Darren Siegel. I think you mentioned him. Jeff, appreciate you coming out. Thank to all who did not comment and were silent observers. We obviously appreciate you very much as well. And we will be back soon.
See ya.